Hello friends, it's Colrain or Colrain Tarot here on YouTube. So today I'm working with a little bit different of a setup. I hope that you'll be able to see everything that I'm doing and that I can deliver the messages that you need to hear today. So without further ado, we're going to get into the topic of what I am filming today. So I had an inspiration that is going to be a little bit heavier in topic, and I know I've been doing a lot of shadow work videos, so I'm going to get back into doing a little bit more lighthearted videos in the future. But today I felt really called to do a video on like subconscious family programming and how our family lives have influenced the way that we attribute ourselves to love and attachment styles. So I want to, like usual, set the intention together and light the candle that I have here and light our incense and everything. So if you're antsy and you want to get into the reading, then here are the piles. I'm going to be doing shuffling on camera today, so I don't have any piles already set out, but this will be pile 1 with this black rock, pile 2 with this palm stone, pile 3 with this tiger's eye piece, and pile 4 with this moon kind of rock. So if you're ready to select, you can do that. Otherwise, I encourage you to stick around and stay with me as I set the intention and address the candle. So I first want to light the candle with the intention. This is a little green candle and there's some red at the bottom, but we're going to light this candle with the intention that our ancestral spirits that are going to come through and possibly help with this reading and assist with channeling this reading are honored, if they feel respected, they feel safe, helping me to deliver messages to you, but also to call only on the guides that have your highest good and benevolent and compassionate intention in mind. So let's light this candle together with that being said. And so here's the flame, and you'll be able to see this glowing in the corner. And this is my Leo candle. I am a Leo, so always like to represent. But I also want to dress this candle with an oil that is called Salutation, just to say hello, to salute our guides that are going to help this reading. So I put 3 drops in there. 3 is a creative number, and the candle crackled back, so it's almost like they're saying hello back. So I'm going to put this oil down here, and the flame is flickering, so that should be a good sign. Now if I can get this open, I had it backwards. Okay, there's some ashes already in there from some incense I lit earlier, but I'm going to light this incense on the candle that we just lit. And this is jasmine blossom incense, and so this is going to create a cleansed space and allow for us to be in a safe, protected space where we can kind of get into those attachment styles without inviting any energy in that is not serving what we need to hear at the time. So it's going to be just right for everyone's specific journey that they're on. And let's see if I can get this in here. Okay, now that we got that in, I think we are ready to start shuffling and going into piles. So if you've already selected your pile, you can go there right now. Otherwise, you can pause the video and ask for like a message, see which one is kind of calling out to you and telling you that there's a message there. If you're drawn to more than one pile, that means that there may be more than one message there. And I'm going to send some blessings your way before we start. So hello pile 1, if you selected pile 1 or this black rock, then this is going to be your family pattern reading. So I don't really have like a specific setup that I have in mind for this reading so far, and so immediately I'm just being called to use this Okana tarot deck, or it's an oracle deck, excuse me. But this deck is specifically a shadow work deck. And so if you're not familiar with shadow work is the process of seeing the sides of ourselves that may lay hidden, they may lie dormant within our psyche. They're aspects of ourself that are sometimes in shadow, or they're not always like super easy for us to deal with. There's probably better resources that you could find on shadow work more in depth if you've never heard of it, but I just felt called to share what that is. So I've shuffled it a couple times, and I'm going to lay this out. And I'm going to pull 2 cards, kind of highlighting the shadow of yourself that is being illuminated right now through your like family patterns of attachment. So like maybe ancestral, how it bleeds into the self, and then one that is like your family, what they're kind of reflecting back to you right now if you have a complicated family situation or whatever. So let's do one for the viewer. Okay, we got the card Deceit, and I'll read it to you because it's a little reflecty. From a lie, the truth is born. Interesting. Okay. And if you've ever watched a video with me, I'm so sorry if I'm itching my nose. Whenever I'm channeling, my nose just starts itching like crazy. I don't know why. And then one for your family. Energy. Do not lose your head because you will lose yourself. And there's the rabbit. Okay. Right away, I'm feeling like anxiety is an important part of your attachment to your family and the way that your family is attached to the world, especially with this energy card. I feel like your family may be anxiously attached to things. You may have a lot of like extended family members that are in very like anxiously attached relationship styles. People in your family may feel like there's a sense of abandonment almost, or like a fear of abandonment in a lot of the relationships. And that may keep your family dynamic kind of being one that's like overbearing or controlling. And I also feel like with your card coming out as Deceit here, it says from a lie, the truth is born. I feel like you also, I don't know if you can tell, this is like a mask. I feel like you have somewhat felt like you had to cover up a certain part of yourself and hide it away from your family. And so there's like a difficulty being vulnerable in loving situations, or when you are supposed to be in a loving encounter with somebody, you feel like you can't express the fullness of your true self. So it's like, especially with that phrase, from a lie, the truth is born, I feel like you like to communicate in non-verbal ways or non-direct ways because of the way that your family just communicates and treats romance and like how to feel. So let's look at, I really want to read the shadow element or the shadow aspect of the Deceit card, and I'm not sure which element this is. Oh, it's the element of air, so it's in the mind. It's a very cloudy kind of a thing. I feel like you are really afraid of expressing yourself, and there may be some like throat chakra stuff. So if you work with like energy work or like Reiki or any kind of herbal supplements as well, I feel like doing something that's going to come to the healing and the assistance of the throat chakra would be really beneficial. So the shadow element is not being honest with oneself and losing touch with one's own spirit. Yes, again, this is about like putting on the mask, putting on some kind of facade that keeps you from having to really show up as yourself. And it may be that it's unsafe for you to show up as yourself, but like there's a certain amount of who you are that has to be hidden from your family. And then I feel like this bleeds into relationships with other people, and you feel like, oh, no one really understands me, and it's because your family may have like tried to be very overbearing, over controlling of you, and so when you did share things, there was always like a judgment and an opinion. So I want to get more into other cards and kind of give some richness to this reading. My Bible just fell over on the shelf, so Is your family religious? Are there religious things that are kind of factoring into this scenario? I do feel like for a lot of you, some of your family's beliefs do stem from a religious perspective. So maybe coming to terms with your own relationship with religion, your own like eternal self, so like the self that's beyond just this lifetime, how you have related to religion in the past. I feel like asking for your guides, your ancestors, the beings, the angels that walk with you, whoever you see them as, just asking them to kind of, you have a jumper, reveal to you more about what you should do in that relationship with religion, in that relationship with like a personal God, a personal divinity. And how this also may be some kind of a spiritual trauma that relates to religion as well, where you felt like, you know, God didn't love you. You may have been like someone who has kind of questioned religion a lot in your life, and so there's a long history of like not trusting the authority of religious figures and stuff like that. So spirit guides that have come through for pile 1. What cards do we need for this reading today? How does pile 1 relate to their family? And how does this family relationship, I saw this while we were shuffling, how does this family relationship hinder or help them with connection on a larger scale? And let's get, actually I'm going to ask the next deck about this. Anything else? One more card. Okay. So on the bottom of the deck, so the subconscious energy is the 4 of Swords in the reverse. I feel like you guys have been resting, or you have had some kind of like stagnancy in your family area that has kind of prevented you from making peace with a lot of these situations in the past, or you've really made up your mind about certain situations and kind of harbored a lot of anger, because this Ace of Wands card that really stood out to me while I was shuffling. I feel like usually this is kind of turning over a new leaf, going on to a new spiritual path, which I feel like you are in terms of dealing with like your family and your ancestral kind of generational karma that you're working through. But I feel like there's something that you have to choose with the 7 of Cups here. To see things in a new light, to see things differently than you've chosen to see them in the past, because the Tower card is in the reverse. And the Tower, as you probably know, is a card of like sudden transformation, physical destruction, having a new perspective on something kind of come to light. And it's usually something that's beyond your control, but other things can't move. I'm seeing like the image of a dam being burst open. That dam can't burst open, the emotional one, in terms of like bringing all of you together to flow more harmoniously, if you don't come to terms with not only your own mask that you've been putting on, because you can't connect with people authentically if you're not giving all of what you have to offer. And so this cohesiveness that needs to happen, or if you want this to happen, it can't happen without you confronting your own, okay, how did I show up in these situations? How did everybody else show up in these situations? How can I communicate what I experienced to people so that they can be held accountable for what was going on in these situations? With the Empress in the reverse, I feel like you've inevitably closed yourself off from like a more feminine experience of life. You're not as able to like nurture other people because it's really hard for you to nurture yourself. And I feel like that's a very painful thing for you, pile 1. It's when our expression, when our like joy is hindered or kind of kept a secret, it's really difficult for us to be able to express ourselves in a very authentic form. The Empress card here, I also like to think of this card as like self-love, one of being able to be in touch with your really true, authentic self and hold yourself in a place of non-judgment and with that love. And I feel like that's something that's really difficult for you because of this. I feel like this also may be a complicated relationship with a mother figure, because this is, a lot of these cards are dark, but then there's this Ace of Wands, so it may be easier for you to fight with this mother figure, or fight with the strong feminine figures in your family and kind of butt heads with them. But when it comes down to actually talking about things in an emotional sense, it's really difficult to get there. This can also just be like, in general, a disrupted feminine energy in your family, so like even the masculine people, or like the people that don't fit into a really like concrete gender role. It's really difficult for anybody, regardless of their gender expression, to really get in touch with that feminine side, which is the intuitive side, which is being able to read between the lines of interactions. I feel like you're craving that on some level, and so it kind of, you can end up feeling like you're not being satisfied in relationships, because that communication aspect of your relationships is really difficult for you to get to. It's hard for you to communicate with yourself, and so then therefore communicating with other people and asking for your needs to be met is not happening for you. I feel like this also leads to confusion and possibly like not knowing what direction to take, because you're really unsure of what you want in a relationship. So let's go on to this deck, which I'm actually going to pull out the little pamphlet because it has some little nifty things in it. The bottom of the deck, which actually wanted to change for me going into this reading, is the card Stuck. So I do feel like there's, I've seen Candyland for some reason, but like you're almost like in a sticky spot in Candyland if you're like on a journey. So let's think, how does this affect, because I feel like I've already addressed how this affects your relationship with yourself and then your relationship with your family, but how does this affect the future of romantic relationships for pile 1? That's too many cards, so hold on. Okay, conflict. I'm not going to read these in reverse because they are oracle cards. How does this affect the future of romantic relationships for pile 1? Okay, and we have 2 more cards down here. Dwellings and excitement. Okay, I feel like this is more of a past, present, future kind of a situation. So in the past, I feel like this is revisiting the past to see how conflict, how this, again with this Ace of Wands, how this anger, what is this anger masking for you and for the other people? This is an intuition exercise. I feel like with your family, you know them almost inside and out, or you should know a lot of their quirks. And so kind of maybe put yourself in the shoes of some of your family members that you've had like this kind of butting head conflict with, and be like, you know, what was going on in their life? What environment were they raised in? What extra stressors were going on for them that they were bringing into these situations that hurt me? And do the same for yourself. What other things were going on in your life at the time where you had conflict with these people, and how can you approach this situation from a different perspective? And maybe I don't know if you can see, sorry about the glare, but this person right here is like wearing a devil suit. So like, how have you been possibly demonizing yourself for the things that you've done, and how have you been demonizing the other people in your life for what they've done to you? So yeah, I feel like that question right there that's going to help you a lot is like, what was this anger masking? Anger is always like a secondary emotion, so there's always something else that's deeper, a deeper hurt underneath. In terms of the present, dwellings, I feel like a lot of you do either live with these people still, or you have to, you have some kind of trip or like plan to go visit these people in some way. So, or there's something that's reflected in this in your current housing situation. So it may be like you're living with roommates, or you're living with a partner or something, and they are kind of reflecting that energy to you. Also, I missed something on the conflict. I feel like any failed relationships, or I don't really want to say failed, but relationships that have had an undesirable outcome for you in the past, they, I feel like, are trying to almost teach you how to work through the same issues as like what's going on in your family life. So like if you had to put on a mask in your family, you may have felt a little bit more liberated in other spaces, but you still had this like kind of a shield that you had to put up to protect yourself in those relationships, which led to similar conflicts. So maybe looking at conflicts with people outside of your family in the past could also help to inform how to move through this like general relationship block. In the future though, we have this excitement card, and the excitement, I feel like, stemming from the dwelling card, they have similar colors, you see. And so I feel like this being the blue and the orange they're complementary colors, so they're very different, but I feel like the more that you step into this like childish, fun, authentic expression kind of version of yourself, where you can meet yourself where you're at and express that more openly from the higher heart space. So it's like more of a connection of your heart and your throat, coming in to be a more loving expression of yourself, the more that you're going to be reaching for this like sensually gratifying experience. I want to read something about the excitement card because I feel like that's going to be a really great way to end this reading and to shed a little bit more light on what you can look forward to once you get out of that stuck energy, once you stop feeling like you need to escape from your family situation or your past or whatever you were brought up in, and you can kind of see the ways in which it is teaching you about yourself, because it's not like you deserve to go through anything horrible with anybody, but there are always things that we can learn about ourselves from any situation that we're in. So the card Excitement 38, 3 plus 8 is 11. So this is like an ascension kind of number, being able to see all of the pieces of the chain coming together. Have you ever had a dream where you worked so hard to get what you want, but as you reach for your reward or move to the next stage, you wake up? You never get to know where that train that took forever to get on led to, or what happened when you opened that strange door that took most of the night to unlock. You wake up wanting more. Sometimes, when we are overeager in our excitement, we accidentally push our dreams and goals further away from us. Be patient. What is meant to be will come in time. If you force the situation, what you desire may elude you and always remain just slightly out of your grasp. Start trusting yourself and the universe. So, again, going back to that anxious attachment that you may have stemming from a family situation where there's like this desire to escape, and so you're gonna try and like maybe search for family and other people. Get excited, but get excited for the ways in which you're growing from within yourself. So like, what can I learn from situations? Kind of taking the time to pause, taking the time to work through things mindfully, not relying on like the ways that other people give us this like satisfaction, you know. Trying to create that satisfaction from within, asking yourself the important questions like, why am I doing this? What do I seek to gain out of this situation? It's going to be important to maintain a level head through any excitement, because I do feel like this excitement card is coming as an indication of an opportunity for you to see if you have worked through some of the issues that you've been trying to work through. I feel like overall the biggest question to ask yourself is like, what purpose does anger serve in my life? And how is that being reflected in my current like romantic life, or just like friends, you know, whatever people you're in contact with right now? How is this reflecting to me things about my own attachment style? So thank you so much, Pile 1. I hope that this gave you some kind of insight or allowed you to self-reflect or reminded you about something that wasn't at the forefront of your mind. I want to thank your guides, ancestors, anybody that came through, whatever force in the universe that helped to facilitate this reading. Thank you. Otherwise, I will see you in another video, and I'm sending so many blessings and so much love your way. Bye. Hello, pile 2. If you selected pile 2 or this ocean palm stone, then this is going to be your family attachment style subconscious love patterns reading. I'm feeling like immediately for you guys, you need to understand a little bit more about the subconscious mind, about the subconscious patterns associated with love. What does love mean to you? What does a good relationship mean to you? So I kind of want to dive into that a little bit more. The family stuff might come up a little bit, but I feel like you guys have a little bit more of a grasp on your family life. So this is going to be more for the subconscious dive. I personally like to meditate on tarot videos sometimes, just to have almost like a guided reflection as I'm having my own thoughts come up. So I feel like this may be kind of the experience that will help you at this time. So this deck that I'm starting with is a shadow work deck, and it's going to kind of open up maybe a side of your shadow self that has been brought out because of these subconscious attachments to love and relationships. I feel like this is more of like a general, not really coming from a specific relationship, but it is like an attachment to a concept itself, like those kind of like belief patterns. So guides of pile 2 that have come through to assist. Can we get a card to represent the viewer's shadow side? Okay, we got 3 cards, and I'm going to take them all because I feel like this is a bigger pattern that you're working to break through. So interesting. We've got deceit. All of these cards have faces in them too, so this may have to do with your own identity and how you see yourself reflected in other people, how you also would like to show up in situations. So like, what kind of partner do you want to be? What kind of relationships are meant for you or important for you to experience? So deceit, it says, from a lie, the truth is born. I feel like this is possibly lying to your own self, or like shoving down a certain part of yourself, like not allowing yourself to feel things. So like, if you're like, oh, that makes me uncomfortable, you just kind of grin and bear it and let yourself go through. Maybe letting people step across your boundaries, like disrespecting your boundaries, that kind of a thing. Sorrow. It is through deep sadness that one masters discouragement. I want to read the shadow element on that card because I have a good idea of what the shadow element is on the deceit card, but sorrow is a lot different. So let me do that right now. And I believe sorrow is a water element card. It is. Okay. Sorrow. Shadow element. Allowing any inconvenience to discourage you from pushing ahead on your journey to success. Okay, this is definitely talking about if you've recently had a relationship that didn't pan out in the way that you wanted, or if you've had a string. I feel like a lot of you have had like a string of discouraging relationships in your past, or like people that kind of let you down. I feel like Spirit's coming through to say right now that you're not the cause of this. Like, this has nothing to do with you or how you showed up in these situations. This has a lot to do with revealing to you certain beliefs that you hold that aren't matching up to your true worth. So sometimes we can hold beliefs that are like, oh, I need to work like 8 hours a day in order to like be successful, and like Spirit's like, no, I need you to like release that belief so that you can know that like you are worth only working like 3 hours a day, putting in really good work. You know what I mean? Like getting that return for the amount of energy that you're putting into something. So like, if you're putting in a lot of energy to other people or to your relationships or to your family, and you're not getting that back, but you believe that that's okay, Spirit's kind of putting those like obstacles in your way so that you can almost maneuver around them, go the long way around to learn more about yourself, to strengthen your own self-worth and your own concept of yourself. The third card we have here is Confide. all things are good to eat, but not all things are good to say. And this is two faces kind of coming together. I feel like this is again kind of referencing those like relationships in the past that you may have been like asking yourself, like, why me? Am I not good enough? Like, was I not worthy of this person? And I feel like Spirit's also coming through to say, like, those people, it's like casting your pearls before swine, you know, like those people are not exactly up to par for you. Not to like shit on anybody, but like there are certain people that you're meant to align with at the time that you're meant to align with. At the time that you were in contact with these people, I feel like they very much resonated on the same frequency as you. They had things to show you, they had things to share about you, you had a like soul contract or whatever. But now that you are moving forward and you're realizing more about your true like eternal self, there are things that you need to be able to keep secret or to go within and kind of go hermit mode and discover about yourself in order to really step into your power and be able to ask for people to respect your boundaries and to not be like so like hiding from your own self, hiding from your own true powers. Things at the bottom settle, you know, like you don't need to settle when you are so limitless, when you have so much that is meant for you to experience. So I feel like a lot of the people I feel like a lot of your ancestors have come through and been like, no, we're not going to repeat this cycle. We've already like discovered this in our lifetimes. We don't want you to have to make the same mistakes. And so I feel like sometimes there were like little obstacles that pushed you away from certain people recently so that you didn't give information. I feel like you have big plans that are kind of bubbling to the surface. There are a lot of like really important relationships too that are going to be coming through for you. And if you had these other people in your life, they may kind of have like impeded on this greater plan that your like higher self, this source, that whatever you have been trying to manifest, like whatever beings that you work with have been really trying to funnel your way. In terms of yourself in that as well, I feel like there's a certain amount of like self-talk that is getting rewritten through this with this confide card too. So it's like all things are good to eat, but not all things are good to say. So the things that you've consumed, the things that have been in your space to influence you, to nourish your soul, they're maybe not things that like you should continue to like say these. If you harbor if you harbor anger, if you harbor these thoughts of like, this person cheated me, this person betrayed me, you're gonna hold on to that grudge. So something that's being called of you right now is to like ask yourself, what have you continued to tell yourself? Like, what are the beliefs that you told yourself about what you deserve, but also about what other people are and who they are, and how they still maybe have that like kind of influence or that control over certain ways that you feel about yourself. Okay, I'm just letting cards come out really without asking a question, because I want to know more about like your subconscious programming with love and relationships. Okay, how does pile 2 see love and relationships in relationship to their concept of their self? Okay. Anything more for pile 2 before I stop shuffling? Haha, I knew that this card was going to come out. Okay, we have 3 reversed cards. And I know that this deck isn't technically really supposed to be read in reverse, but I just feel like that's how your guides are really wanting to communicate with you, because these cards can always be turned over, and I feel like that's what's going to happen. There's just a little bit of like that self-reflection that we need sometimes. So 2 of Swords in your past, I feel like you maybe grew up around people in your home that were very volatile, possibly like violent, or just arguments got heated, or there was like a lot of like gaslighting. That was a word that was coming up really strong. just where people's realities were denied. And so I feel like that's why there's this like self-worth issue that you might come across sometimes, where you feel like to assert your self-worth may bring up an argument or a fight, and that's really uncomfortable for you. I feel like that's also why you kind of shove things down, and you've had this, like, again, with this deceit card, lying to yourself, like not being like, you know, that doesn't bother me, but it really does. I feel like there are a lot of things that almost, I don't really want to use the word trigger, but I guess that's the only word I have, trigger you, like in certain relationships. There are certain like things that people do that really make you feel uncomfortable, but then you kind of almost dissociate or like tap out in order to not have to face that emotion. The 10 of Cups in the reverse, in terms of like what you think that a relationship could be, I feel like some of you have almost given up on relationships, or like being in a happy relationship where one person isn't sacrificing a lot of themselves, and I feel like this can be turned around. This can be something that's upright. This can be something where it's not just one person making the relationship work. I feel like for some of you, you've had this example of like one person being very selfless, giving, doing all this stuff, and it almost feels like you're like, you know, I don't know if I can do that. Like, I don't know if I can be everything in a relationship. And it's like, no, you don't have to be the everything. You can be like a whole person and make mistakes and have your own opinion and your own perspective of everything, and also hold space for the other person to do that and let them hold space for you. So this card is also a reminder. I don't know if you can see the colors all that well, but it's a reminder that everybody shows up and pours into each other in a different way. Because like on this part, each of the cups, they're kind of sorted into colors and they go into all the other cups. And then in these cups, they're one of each color. So it's like everybody has their own way of like attaching to another person in their own individual perspective. And so you're going to be able to find people that are going to be respectful of your perspective. You just have to figure out how to respect your own perspective first. The 9 of Wands in the reverse, again, being worried or believing that like relationships are a struggle, are a fight, or something that you have to kind of go to battle with if you are going to be in one. They can't just be like comfortable or casual. I feel like this is also a fear of being hurt. Like it's a self-doubt kind of a thing. With the 3 of Swords in reverse, it's not just a black and white card where it's just about like heartache. I feel like this card is also something that's about like doubting yourself or not believing in yourself, to not get hurt or to not say the wrong thing. I feel like a lot of you have like a self-depreciating kind of self-talk when it comes to relationships. Like you get worried that if somebody's upset, it's about you or it's something that you did, and so you're worried that it's like you want this kind of 10 of Cups, like happy ending, but you're not really sure if you know how to meet people where they're at. I feel like you've been gaslit in the past, or like somebody's kind of overwritten your reality, and so it makes it hard to trust yourself. And so you just kind of get stuck in this like, woe is me, I'm gonna be sad, like you know, kind of hopeless romantic kind of a situation. So I want to ask about how my pile 2s can kind of liberate themselves from these programs. How can my pile 2s find more joy in relationships? Beautiful. Okay, 3 more cards. Okay, we had quite a few, but I think that they're important. So Usually I wouldn't take this many, but let me fix these ones. Okay. So we've got dancing, card 34. Innocence, card 31. Health, 41. Conflict in the reverse, 29. Dwellings, 7. Okay. Conflict and dwellings. I'm going to start with these because I feel like these have to do with like deep childhood kind of wounds that have to do with maybe your first house, like childhood home, something like that. And I feel like there's some kind of conflict or something that is repressed. I don't know why that word came, but there's something that is like stuck in the back that is attributing to this like fear of relationships while wanting it, especially with this Two of Swords. It's like there was so much conflict and so much fighting on some level that like it's put you into your own inner conflict, and it's because you haven't let yourself face something that you've been through. Also with this health card, I feel like this is prompting you to seek like professional help, some kind of therapy, something where you can talk to somebody and have them listen to you and hear you out, but then also offer like some advice or professional perspective. If you also feel called to do some kind of like holistic treatment, it's just a self-care act to be able to seek out the kind of like health advice or like counsel, that's the word, counsel that you need. So going and seeing somebody might help you kind of work through some of that. EMDR therapy, if you have insurance that supports that, would be really helpful. If you have some kind of subconscious programming that you want to get in touch with. But in terms of liberating yourself from these programs, these two cards I feel like are really, really special for your journey ahead. The card of innocence reminds you to treat yourself like you would an innocent kid. I feel like there's a certain amount of like inner child work and like giving yourself a hug, like even literally just like grabbing yourself and like giving yourself a hug. I'm thinking of like the happy baby yoga pose, just watching like kids cartoons, something like that, where you can give yourself the freedom and the space to rest and like not put so much pressure on yourself about, you know, like journaling every day or like meditating every day. I feel like the more relaxed you are with yourself, the more that your emotions can kind of flow. You can get into a flow state, and then you're going to be able to self-reflect naturally. If you also don't have an artistic practice or some kind of creative outlet, I would look into that. With the card dancing here, I do want to read the little description in the guidebook about it. But dancing, I feel like, is going to be a little bit literal for you. So letting yourself dance, letting yourself flow with life. If you have friends, I feel like you guys do have some kind of healthy relationships where like the universe has kind of gifted you with these like soulmate type people that you can really connect with and like share with. Maybe going and doing something like baking or having a little dance party or something. I'm just seeing like kitchen for some reason, maybe dancing in the kitchen, but doing something special with people that you feel safe around. So let's look at dancing, which is card 34. 7 might be an important number for you with your guides. That's just something that's come to me. Okay. Dreams of dancing symbolize peace, liberation, and pure expression of joy. Indicates fluidity, grace, and empowerment through the body as it is expressed to the external. Dancing with the universe means engaging with grace, fluidity, and openness while avoiding the entrapments of intellect. So yeah, don't try too hard to intellectualize or like rationalize or like know exactly what you're thinking. Just let yourself feel right now, especially with that fluidity. Let your body move, let yourself groove, and kind of take care of your body right now. Let your body be your oracle too. So let your body kind of express to you the emotions it needs to. I want to thank my guides, your guides, and every other force of the universe that brought us together for this reading today. I hope that this was a wonderful way for you to like self-reflect and meditate and understand a little bit more of the subconscious and what may be a deeper emotional thing that you could work through right now. Please let me know how this resonated. Otherwise, I'm sending you so many blessings and so much love. Thank you so much. It's an honor to read for you. I'll see you in another video. Bye. Hello, pile 3. If you selected pile 3 or this tiger's eye stone, then this is going to be your subconscious family programming kind of a reading. So for you guys, I'm just going to warn you a little bit that I am going to have to relight the incense because I want the space to continue to be protected while I do this reading. So we may take a little pause in the middle of the reading to do that, but I'll probably edit that out for you, just letting you know. So I'm tapping into your energy right now. And I'm seeing that it's not all that heavy. I'm feeling a pain in my elbow for some reason. It's like I'm getting like the vision of somebody trying to hold their head up and then falling asleep and holding their head up and falling asleep. So it may be that you're getting really exhausted from like your family, or you've been exhausted with romance, with love, with relationships. So I have my shadow deck right here. So this is the Okana Oracle, and this is going to show us, I feel like for you, this is more of a familial, like ancestral kind of generational pattern that you're undoing. And that's why it feels so exhausting, because it's like something that you're doing on the astral as well as in the physical, and you're carrying the weight of a lot of other people who have lived before you. So what shadow side is needing to be integrated for pile 3 at this time? And the shadow sides of ourselves are ones that we integrate. It's not something that we need to run away from, or we should be afraid of, or we should demonize. In fact, if we do that, we're making things harder for ourselves. So as we self-reflect, we are constantly drawing in other parts of ourselves. Okay, let's see. Just one card. Iron. Dogs have 4 legs, but only walk one path. What was I saying about you guys on your path doing some generational work? And on the bottom of the deck, we have grit. When a needle falls into a well, many people will look into the well, but few will go down after it. So this is subconscious energy going on. Grit and iron together is definitely like trying to do the work, and that may be what is making you almost feel exhausted from this. This generational pattern, or like ancestral kind of karma thing, I feel like has to do with work, your worth related to work, people attributing you to only what you can produce or what you can provide. I do believe iron is an earth element, excuse me, so you may be an earth sign or have a very earthy family. I don't know why that just came up, but like your family may be very much earth sign dominated, or have a lot of like placements that have to do with earth. But earth is also, I'm thinking of Capricorn, where we have that like drive, that ethic, that kind of adherence to the laws and the rules of life. So the shadow element is consistent and unwavering obstinacy. Consistent and unwavering obstinacy is a fault of temperament. It does not help, it harms. Okay. I feel like a lot of you have been trying to approach a situation of healing from only one perspective. You're like, okay, there's only one way for me to overcome this, and that is this way. I feel like this bleeds into relationships and makes you kind of almost feel like stubborn. in the ways that you like expect other people to show up in relationships. It's almost like you have this one way and this is the only way that it can happen. And while it's important to know your boundaries and know your own expectations and what you desire to receive back from a relationship, it's different when it gets to the point of like trying to control people. I feel like there's a certain amount of like, okay, well, since I've been controlled, or I have this like obedience kind of a thing going on in my family relationships. Okay. Sorry, there was something floating around in the air. Since I've had to be obedient of other people and had almost like people pulling my strings and things like Pinocchio, then you almost like run away and then realize, oh, okay, maybe I need to return and listen to some of the things that they said because they had a purpose. Maybe it doesn't serve a purpose exactly for me, but they come from somewhere. This is, I feel like, unearthing something about the way that your family thinks about children, thinks about like child rearing, like parenting in general. Also just about like the concept of loyalty too, with that dog reference. So I want to get into more of the subconscious. What is happening in the subconscious mind as it relates to ancestral attachment styles and child rearing as well for pile 3. Okay. We've got judgment in the reverse. So yeah, you're definitely working, if you're not open to like spirits or anything, like take whatever resonates, but I definitely feel like you have ancestors or like passed on loved ones that are working with you right now to ensure that you don't repeat the issues that they had in their life with relationships. What kind of issues are these? Magician. Okay, you've got Major Arcana coming out. So these are big life events. I'm also hearing Saturn return for some of you, or like it's around your birthday or something. There's some kind of realignment that's happening that's allowing you to see a little bit more into your own psyche, your own consciousness, and the ways in which you were brought into this world and what kind of karma you're here to liberate. So there's some kind of liberating from karma that's coming out. Ace of Pentacles in the reverse. So this may be affecting you on a career front, or like how you want to make money in the future, like what you kind of see yourself doing. I feel like whatever work you end up doing through this like ancestor work that you're doing is going to inform you on a career level. So you're going to be able to apply whatever lessons you learn into being able to help others also liberate from this. So if this is like some kind of intersection kind of a thing, so this is like a cultural, I feel like for a lot of you this is a cultural kind of breakthrough. So you're breaking through the way that your culture has passed on like concepts of children and concepts of family. You're going to be able to use some of this on a level of like your career. I feel like your career is really tied into like this cultural identity that you have that has to do with your attachments and the way that you love. I feel like a lot of you in this group can also detach emotionally from something and see something at a very unemotional level, and that's good for you because you can kind of meticulously like rationalize how you feel and get things out in words, but it's not always good for feeling. So but I feel like that's not really important for you right now. It's more of like the, okay, what should I be loyal to and what should I not be loyal to? It's like, what part of tradition is important for me to continue and what part of tradition is it important for me to break through? So the Magician card is like paving a new pathway, going out on your own, being able to see that you have all the resources given to you, but what resources do I want to use? Like what are the things that I've been given out of love, out of respect, out of honor, and what things are maybe not with me in mind, with the respect of my highest good, which is difficult. It's really hard to break through those kind of patterns. So any more cards about the patterns? The World in the reverse. Okay, I feel like this has to do with what a successful relationship looks like. I feel like a lot of you are also possibly breaking out of like gender rules, or you're queer in some way with this like rainbow. Let me try and get it clear. So queer just means strange or different, and so, but that also can be an identity that you take on, but like it may be seeing that relationships or the archetype of a relationship that you've been handed maybe doesn't fit into your life in the way that you thought it would, and this is just queering relationships for you. So queering as a verb is like a term of taking something and spinning it on its head, or looking at it from a different perspective. I'm just, that this hand motion is coming to me, but it's like spinning something around, being able to look at something from a completely different angle, and then seeing how it mirrors certain things that you would like maybe understanding, closeness, vulnerability, but it doesn't have to look in the ways that it's been given to you. So I want to see what's on the bottom of the deck from when I was shuffling. 8 of Wands. So, I just randomly got a message. This isn't going to resonate for all of you, but I feel like some of you are having something to do with like online dating, or you've been thinking about it, and I feel like that would be a really good experience for you, or like you're going to meet somebody important online, some kind of mentor or something that's going to help to instruct more to you about like what your ancestors have been trying to say. So we got a card, and this is important, the Source. And I'm going to read to you what's in the guidebook about that. How does this bleed into current relationships for my pile 3? Like current, okay. Imbalance in the reverse, and Warrior. This one needs to be upright. Okay, and then I feel like this one's about your work, and this is more about like romantic relationships and friendships. And on the bottom of the deck, we have work. So yes, there is a very strong work ethic in this group. You have a lot of like your own emotional things that are bleeding into your workspace, and they influence where you get creative inspiration, the kind of messages you put out. I feel like some of you may have like podcasts, or you're writing a book or a blog or something, journalism, something like that, where you are actively asking big questions about human experience and stuff, and so your own understanding of it and your own ability to like write things out is going to benefit from you doing this like kind of relationship asking. So in terms of your, let's read this, the Source. And this is card 37, which adds up to a 10. So kind of starting on a new cycle, or turning over a new leaf. 37. Dipping into the Source is pulling from the divine well of collective consciousness. If you receive the Source card, it is a very auspicious omen, especially if you are an artist. This card indicates that you are being guided and directed by the divine in order to fulfill work that holds great purpose for the collective. We all have different gifts and talents. What are yours that you should be sharing with the world? So yes, this this concept of your own like generational, like how things have trickled down, is really going to help you to communicate how others who follow after also can kind of break the mold while still maintaining the beauty and the importance of the tradition. And so this is like divine inspiration. I feel like I need to show you this card again. without knocking into the incense, just to show you how important whatever you are going to take away from this experience, your personal experience is your gift to share with others. It is important, and I think that it's been given to you for a reason. So give yourself patience. Don't put pressure on yourself to do anything grand, to do anything great. Just let it come from your heart. In your personal relationships right now, I feel like how this is affecting it with the imbalance card in the reverse and the warrior. I feel like it's perceived imbalances. I feel like it's maybe projecting expectations that you have from, like, if you've been brought up in a really rigid tradition or in a especially like a religious community or something where there's expectations placed on you to like be quiet and be subservient and those kind of things. How I know a lot of families expect children to be, not speak unless they're spoken to, excuse me. And so I feel like it's perceiving these imbalances, kind of putting limitations on yourself in relationships, I want to show you this card actually because it's really beautiful. Kind of holding, do you see how this person is ultimately holding the scales, and the scales are imbalanced because of the way that they're holding that scale up in the air? I feel like it's a matter of you flipping it on your own, and this person is blindfolded, so it's almost like if they were willing to take their other hand and just pull the blindfold off, they would be able to see things clearly. The warrior card also came out for you, and this card has two people up above, and I feel like this is whatever passed on loved ones or whatever ancestors that have been assigned to help assist you, to give you the insights that you need to work through your relationships. They are helping you. If you're struggling in any situations, if you have questions about certain relationships, ask them, lean on them, give them an offering or something. Like, do some kind of, if you have like a cultural tradition, try and look into how ancestry work works in that culture. Like, I'm sorry, my words just failed me, but like there are long-standing traditions of how to honor the dead and that kind of thing in many different cultures. So I want to thank your guides, my guides, every other higher force that came through to facilitate this reading today. I want to thank you. It is such an honor to read for you, and I'm sending you so many blessings and so much love. Thank you so much, and I will see you in another video. Bye, friend. Hello, pile 4. If you selected pile 4 or this little moon rock, then this is going to be your subconscious attachments, love style, all of that. I feel like for you guys, I really want to dive into like your love style or like your love language almost, and how it has been instructed by your like subconscious beliefs. So this should be fun. This card, or this deck, is the Okana Oracle, and this is a oracle deck that deals with the shadow attributes that may be instructing us at this time. So I want to dive a little deeper into what sides of yourself that you have hidden, or they're just lying dormant, or maybe negatively impacting you at this time, but how they're hindering you from like fulfillment or whatever. So guides that have come through to help with pile 4, can we please have one card that has to do with their shadow? Okay, we got 2 cards, so I'll take it. And I'm gonna read you the shadow attributes of both. We have, the first card is honesty. And this card says, with the tongue, one can destroy the town and save the town. Control the tongue. So the second card is grit. It has a cute little kitty on it. And it says, when a needle falls into a well, many people will look into the well, but few will go down after it. Okay. I feel like before I read the shadow elements, there's something about you that wants to get down to, like, again with that grit, the nitty gritty of a situation. And I feel like it's sometimes to a fault. You may talk when things are not ready to be talked about, or you don't let things rest to kind of culture. When you're growing bacteria and you do the culture and you have to let it grow a little bit, sometimes you're like a fixer. You want to get through something so quick, you don't allow yourself to revisit when it starts to fester and you realize you didn't address everything completely. I do feel like you guys are people pleasers, or you want to serve, so one of your love languages is being able to provide acts of service for other people. Another thing I also feel like is you want the admiration, like the cat. You want the affection, but you don't know when to. It may be like overstepping other people's boundaries sometimes, or like saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. So let's look at. I want to read honesty first. Honesty, I don't know what element it's part of. It's an air element. So this is with the mind, the communication, the fusion of all the other three elements. The shadow element is showing a lack of adroitness and sensitivity in dealing with others or with difficult issues. I'm not really sure what the word adroitness is. If somebody could leave it in the comments to help out my path forest, that would be helpful. Or I will put it in the description if I remember. So yeah, it may be that like other people come to you with their issues and you kind of like gloss over it sometimes, or like because emotions may be a little bit uncomfortable for you to deal with, it's like you get trapped in your own concept of like what's going on with you, and so it's hard for you to get past that and like show up for people in the ways that they're asking for you to show up for them. I feel like you guys care about people a lot and you try and show up for people, but it's not exactly in the way that they would prefer. Yeah, so I don't think I need to go too much farther into the shadow because I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. So I'm going to cleanse the deck a little bit because we've been using this deck for all the other piles as well. And I want to ask, it's already starting to give me cards. I want to ask a little bit more about your subconscious programming, what this looks like, maybe a family relationship that influenced this. Okay, what card? Okay, we have two people coming out. And two more cards. I think that's gonna be good. Okay, so we have two major arcana. We have the Emperor in the reverse. We have the Daughter of Wands, or the Page of Wands in the reverse. A lot of reversed energy too. The Eight of Wands, upright. Okay, for some of you, I'm hearing that this is something that you've been avoiding, but you're finally sitting down and trying to address it. And then the Wheel of Fortune in the reverse. But also, you may be seeking out an understanding of your family in other things. So you're trying to see it be reflected back to you in other people's families. I feel like a lot of you may have like been kind of a person that like gets absorbed into other people's families. You may be like looking for that family outside of your family. And so that's why you're so honest. You're like, oh, well, I never had a family who was very honest with me. I never had a family who really dug deep into things with me and tried to show me every aspect. So it's almost like oversharing sometimes. Like you need to maybe set more boundaries on what you feel like it's important to share with people. And how honest does that person want you to be? I feel like it's not necessarily always a reflection of you when somebody else is uncomfortable with what you're sharing. It's maybe a reflection of what they're ready to like deal with at the time. I feel like with this Page of Wands in the reverse, it's like a grandmother figure or someone that's like kind of older. This could also be an aunt, like a parent sibling, you know, who tried to mentor you, but shared things with you about relationships or like examples of relationships that were borderline unhealthy, almost like codependent, or they were like fiercely independent, and so it made you feel like, you know, maybe relationships can't be satisfying. I do feel like there is an issue with a father figure as well with the Emperor in reverse. So like maybe an absent father or a father figure that just didn't show up emotionally for you as well. There wasn't like a verbal, like a spoken connection. There wasn't like that ability to be emotionally vulnerable or hold space for each other. So it's like that escapism comes with you trying to, because the Eight of Wands can also be a card of movement, a card of travel, something like that. So you were trying to find things elsewhere, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, to find family or to bring together your own version of family, but you also have to recognize your roots and where you came from and the ways in which your family communicated with you, in order to kind of know your own environment, your own foundation of what you were bringing into this life. The Wheel of Fortune in the reverse, having to do with your like subconscious programming as it relates to relationships. I feel like you may not really believe in fate or really believe in like, you know, I feel like you're questioning like, oh, do I have a soulmate? Do I believe in that? Do I believe in like a healthy like romantic counterpart for myself? Do I see that in my future? I feel like this is a lot of questioning of like if that even is something that you want, or if that's something that will be emotionally satisfying for you, because the Wheel of Fortune is like the lottery, like luck, you know, fortune, and so you're like, what do I find fortune out of? I kind of still have questions though, so I want to ask a little bit more. What's this relationship with this father figure? We got the Seven of Cups. In the reverse too. I feel like this has to do with like, for some reason, getting attention. Not really attention, it's like somebody like being present with you, sitting down and like paying attention to the things that you are doing and like telling you that they're proud of you, just providing basic things for you. And so I feel like that's part of what's stemming into this question about like, are relationships satisfying for me? Because there's a certain amount of like wondering if you can make the right choice, if you can take the right steps to like meet people where they're at and not have to control so much of the situation. I feel like this is giving almost like a control issue, because with that honesty and the grit, it's like you need to get super close to people because you're worried about not being understood, not being seen, and so you wanna. It's a control over the relationship, and it's a subconscious thing. It's not something that you're consciously doing. It's not like you're like, oh, I want to control people. It's like, oh, I need to gain some kind of control in my life because I haven't felt like I could be in control, or like I was able to get what I wanted, so I'm going to try and take control in the relationship. I want to clarify on the Wheel of Fortune as well, even though I'm pretty sure what it's about. Too many cards, but this one did stay in my hand. We got the High Priestess, so another major arcana. And the High Priestess is an inner knowing, being in touch with oneself and being in touch with one's like spiritual team as well. I do feel like this is something where your subconscious is communicating to you on a dream level, so like keeping track of your dreams, or if you do dream work, might be really important right now and informative of like what your experience is. trying to explain to you. I feel like this is also just like, because there's like a little ball right here, trying to envision your future. If you have prophetic dreams also, you may ask to get a sign about your romantic life or like your sexuality or something. I do feel like you can work through this. It's more of like a belief that you deserve it, or a belief that you can grow through a relationship, and that you can let go of the control and allow for like your spirit guides, your angels, whatever beings are walking with you to work, let other people do work too, let other people provide for you. So what do I want to ask this deck? How can pile 4 kind of overcome this pattern? What is in the future for them with their interpersonal relationships? Okay. Work. Funny, funny. Any more? Robbery. Interesting. Can I get a few more? Okay. Death. Okay, it's just gonna be intense. On the bottom of the deck, we have animal spirits. So these are learning from animals, learning from, I feel like with this robbery card, do you see how this person is using binoculars? They are maybe letting their guard down, not being so vigilant. So if you feel like people are taking from you, or like you're not being satisfied in relationships, kind of go with the flow a little bit more and stop maybe telling yourself like, oh, people are just out to take from me, you know, being so like hyper vigilant. Like letting that guard down a little bit more will allow for you to maybe see yourself a little bit more clearly in relationships. With the death card here, this is allowing for things to die. If there are like people in your life that are trying to get out from underneath your control, like let them, you can't control them. Letting situations that are beyond your control happen, and recognizing that there's a higher like cosmic purpose. You're always going to be provided for emotionally. You just kind of have to let these things run their course. And then the work card. Do you see how this person's writing? I feel like a lot of you are going to benefit from using this honesty, using this need to communicate, this desire to go deep and do this like deep dive discovery. Write it out for yourself. Also, I'm getting the idea that scripting or manifesting, like to reprogram your subconscious mind, is going to be really helpful. So if you're struggling with like control, you can say, I easily let go of control, and then to maintain your own control over yourself, I trust in the control that I have for my own life, my own self, with respect to others' free will, that kind of a thing. Kind of programming in that it's okay for other people to have their own free will. Yeah. With the robbery also, I feel like watch how other people are in relationships and kind of gauge, like try and put yourself in those shoes. Like, would I be comfortable in a relationship that looks like this? Would I want to be in a relationship that mimics this? Those kind of things I feel like are really important for you in terms of trying to envision yourself in the future. For you right now, a lot of it is like you can make the choices that you want to make ultimately, for your own life, your own stability, your own home. It's really just asking yourself the big questions of like, what do I want? Yeah, I have one more thing. Here it is. I wanted to read the death card for this deck because I feel like this is more of like a little bit in the future. I feel like you're going to recognize certain things that are like taking up space. It's almost like you're in a room and you're starting to like the walls are like caving in because there's just so many things in your space, like you can't hold on to all of them. Death. There are many types of deaths. In this deck, it can represent the end of a cycle, a relationship, the ego, or old constructs that enforced illusions and did not allow us to see the truth. In this deck, the mask represents what we show others and what we think others want to see of us. A realization, the truth, breaks the mask of an illusion and reveals what is hidden. The person is broken and unhappy. It is a painful experience to face the truth of some situations. However, although the truth has caused heartbreak, within the heart is the birthing of the cosmos. It is the birth of new loves, ideas, and endless possibilities. Sometimes in order to be our higher selves, we have to destroy our masks and live in truth. It is the sacrifice of our old self so that our new self can rise anew from the ashes. Beautifully said. I'm glad I read that because I feel like it really relates to your reading and everything else that I've said. Stop pretending for other people. Like, if you need to break down, break down. Like, allow yourself to go within, allow yourself to reflect, allow yourself to like get out all the crazy, not even crazy, but like just all the stuff that's swirling in your head. Address the ways in which other people have kind of handed you programs that are not necessarily like true for you. Ask yourself, like, what do I want? Can I show up for myself and ask for that? And I think you'll be golden. Otherwise, I want to thank you so much. It is such an honor to read for you. I want to thank my guides, your guides, and every other force in the universe that brought us together for this reading today. I am so grateful, and I'm sending you so many loves and so much blessings. Otherwise, I will see you in another video. Bye, friend.